Hello, Scream Demons, and welcome to the Screams from the Basement podcast with Sam and Casey.
This is a bi-weekly horror podcast in which two horror fans discuss all things horror, including news, recent watches, horror collectibles, and more.
I am one of your co-hosts, Casey.
And I'm Sam.
And let's get screaming! We are not screaming on this episode. We are going to be drinking blood for all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We aren't screaming it, although I did, literally, as I was making dinner tonight, I popped Scream 6 on Paramount Plus, and
okay, so Sam is screaming it.
The movie's a banger. It's a banger, and that's all I'll say about it. I didn't even put it in my recent watches because I have a feeling we'll talk about it again shortly. So
yeah, the movie is
in a
screaming
few episodes
right now on Paramount Plus.
Yeah. So it's been good.
I mean, we did talk about it. We talked about a few episodes ago.
Yeah. And it'll probably get brought up on a next episode or two.
Yeah, I think probably maybe we'll clear the air right now.
Should we?
We're not going to reveal anything, but I think we can let people know maybe what our next two episodes probably are going to be.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So this episode here that you're listening to right now, you clicked on it. You know what movies we're talking about. We're talking about Renfield from this year, and we are talking Victor Frankenstein from 2015. Next episode, we're going to be talking Evil Dead Rise, which also just came out, and we're going to be talking about the 2013 Evil Dead. I think the episode after is when we'll finally finish our bet on Scream 6.
Yes. So we're not going to reveal who won yet or what that episode's going to be. But yeah, watch Scream 6 on Paramount Plus, because by the time that episode airs, you'll have known.
It'll all
be out there.
Yeah. You have a month to watch it. So get it watched, get it in your eyeballs, because we are going to not only spoil it for you in the title of the episode, but we'll spoil it and who won our bet as well. But Sam, we're not talking about the bet. We're not talking about Evil Dead.
No.
We are talking Renfield, and we are talking Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah. It's a good pair of movies. They work well together.
They do. I thought it was fun to pair like the classic monsters with their henchmen sidekicks.
Yeah.
In this double feature.
Because both of these double features are definitely told from the sidekick perspective, the person who was, assisting the monsters in these movies. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, how this is going to work, it's going to work like our Scream 6 and Jason Takes Manhattan episode. We are going to talk about the older film first. We'll talk about Victor Frankenstein, and then we'll talk about Renfield. We'll give you all out there listening a full spoiler warning. So if you haven't seen Renfield yet, you can kind of just pause the episode there and then finish it when you catch the movie. Or if you've already seen it, all three of you that paid to watch this movie in the theater like us, you can listen to the rest.
The nice thing too about Renfield is it's not a super spoiler heavy. It's not a whodunit like Scream or anything like that. But we are going to get into third act shenanigans, because I think it's probably safe to say that was our favorite part of the movie. Both of us, maybe.
We'll see.
I don't know. Casey and I haven't talked about this one much.
We have not.
I've talked about it to Casey, but Casey doesn't ever talk about it because he's a professional and he saves it for the cast.
Save it for the content, Sam.
I'm texting him for the entire week and a half between when we see the movie and when we record. What the? But yeah.
Sam, should we jump into some seller news as we kick off the show?
Let's do some seller news.
All right, seller news, ladies and gentlemen. All right. What do we got first for our seller news, Sam?
So the first piece of news is pretty sad. We lost a person in the horror community this past week. Carol Locatel, aka Ethel Hubbard from Friday the 13th, Part 5, a personal favorite of this show. Um, yeah, she has one of the most memorable characters in all of the Friday the 13th. Her and Ron Sloan as a mother-son duo are very funny. They add a really good comedic element to that movie, and Casey and I we got to work with and meet Ron Sloan and Deborah Voorhees from that movie, and over SuperCon last year, and both of them had just nothing but wonderful things to say about Carol. So thoughts and thoughts and good vibes and sympathies to the family and and the friends.
Hmm.
Carol was
Heard nothing but great things about Carol that entire
yeah,
weekend at SuperCon from not only Ron and Deborah, but our buddy Dom Winicky,
yeah.
who worked with her on 13 Fanboy, just said she is one of the funniest people, and seeing her and Ron is like seeing the two characters from Friday the 13th Part 5 together. And yeah, we lost a good one. So
Yeah,
like Sam said, yeah, thoughts and good vibes out to anyone who knew her, and all the fans out there of hers and Friday the 13th Part 5. And I think it just goes to show that the horror community is really this tight knit group of when we lose one of the good ones, we all feel it,
yeah,
whether we knew them personally, whether we met them at a convention, or whether we just watched them on the screen. There's always that connection that we all share with horror movies. And I think, I don't know, it's kind of just a reminder of why the genre and why the fandom is so important.
yeah.
Sending out
Well
best
said.
vibes to everyone out there. um, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll miss you.
Take care of each other. Tell everybody you love them. All that good stuff.
Sam, let's move on to some news, some lightheartedness.
Some
uh
lightheartedness in the form of The Conjuring.
Inform the Conjuring. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. There's a Conjuring TV series in the works at Max. Not to be confused with, Max Goof,
No,
our
the
buddy
best
local
the best
filmmaker
Max.
Max Hofer.
Another good Max.
Like, yeah, Max is bringing a Conjuring TV series to itself.
It is. This comes on. I mean, we got kind of double news here with The Conjuring. I'll throw up the other one here too.
Yeah.
Just announced at CinemaCon
Mm-hmm.
that the Conjuring is going to get a fourth film after all. The Conjuring: Last Rites,
Yeah.
which we'll see Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga come back again as Ed and Lorraine Warren. I hope for the. I don't want to say I hope for the last time. I'm hoping this movie's better than the last one, and
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful for the TV series. Maybe that's where we'll get all these spin-offs that they've been talking about for a very long time. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
we have Annabelle and the Nun. Those are the two big ones that got spin-offs. But I mean, just look at Annabelle Comes Home. You have like 4
Oh
spin-offs in
yeah.
that movie alone. So maybe that's where they'll explore the wider Conjuring universe in the TV show, and
Yeah.
maybe give a final farewell goodbye to the Warrens in this fourth Conjuring film.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga do a great job in these movies, but I feel like the Warren story has played out. Like, I'm honestly surprised, not surprised, but it's a little bit like, man, there's a fourth one. Like, I kind of feel like you've said all you need to say with these characters in the third one
Yeah.
already. I'm still going to go to this one, even though I didn't care for the third one very much. I'll go to anything The Conjuring. I'll give it at least one shot. There's only literally 2 of these movies that I don't like on some level. And, and yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the TV series is. I kind of hope it's an anthology. It would be really cool if that's just like from different time periods and everything. I don't know. Give some different indie filmmakers just an object from one of the Conjuring movies, from Annabelle Comes Home, to play around with and build a story around and see what happens. I'd love to see something like that. So
yeah, we need a Crooked Man episode. We need a
yeah.
Ferryman episode. We
Oh,
need the
definitely the Ferryman.
what is it? The I don't remember what it is, but it's like the bride, the haunted
The
wedding dress, and
dress, yeah.
yeah, we need an episode on that. We need a werewolf episode. Give us a Werewolf of London episode.
Oh,
Come on,
please, no, give us. I hope Last Rites is all werewolf.
yeah.
I want a full werewolf movie, man.
I've been asking for that since the first one. Of
Yep.
the Warrens investigated a werewolf in London. I'm like, where is that movie? Like,
Yep.
I feel like a lot of the ghost stuff and the possession part of the Conjuring universe is already played out.
Yeah.
Like, let's
There's
get
not
into
much more you can do with it.
yeah, let's get into the other supernatural. I mean, this series is far past the based on a true story aspect of the first movie, even the second movie.
They literally had
let's
Ed try
focus
to
on
kill
something
Lorraine
else.
in the last one. So
Yeah. They had a werewolf.
They did.
Annabelle Comes Home.
So yeah, they need to just they need to full tilt go into some bonkers stuff, and I would love to see a werewolf movie.
Time for the werewolf movie. Bring it, Warner Brothers.
Bring it.
All right, what's up next?
Oh,
I got it. I got you.
My
Sam.
notes ran away from me.
I got you, Sam. Speaking of Scream 6 that we talked about earlier, the boys behind that, Radio Silence, they have signed on to direct a new horror film at Universal. The rumor has it is a Dracula's Daughter remake.
Please cast. Actually, you know what? Isn't Melissa Barrera already attached to this?
I think she has also
been
attached to it as well.
Put her and Samara Weaving together in this. Like, oh god, just give me Samara and Melissa in a freaking vampire movie with sharp wit and oh my god. Like, I can't wait for this. No matter what it is, even if it doesn't turn out to be a Dracula's Daughter thing, like after Scream 6, I'm on the Radio Silence train, man.
Yeah,
and I know Dracula's Daughter is one of your favorites of the Universal stable.
I love Dracula's Daughter.
Yeah.
I like it more than the original Dracula from 1931. Might be blasphemy, but it's true. It's a better movie.
It is.
It is. It has a very queer aspect to it too, and I hope they really lean into that with this remake. I'm excited to see Radio Silence be the group that is doing this, because I want to see them now that they've, I don't want to say knocked it out of the park with 2 Scream movies, but they did a serviceable job in the 5th one. I don't love it, but I think it does what it needs to and has some great scenes. 6, I think, knocks it out of the park and shows what they really can do with a franchise film. Yeah, I'm very excited for this. I hope it's the Dracula's Daughter movie.
I hope so.
That's super exciting, especially seeing what Universal's been doing lately with their monster properties of doing, Renfield, which is this take on the 1931 Dracula, but putting a modern spin on it, and The Invisible Man from a couple years ago doing the same thing of taking that concept, bringing it into the modern age. I think there's some really interesting things you can do with Dracula's Daughter.
Oh yeah. And I like that Universal's kind of pivoted away from the shared universe thing. I was excited for the Dark Universe, but I'm more excited to see them use this stable of characters and movies that they have and give filmmakers complete control to just do something weird with it, which is kind of what they've done with Renfield, the Last Voyage of the Demeter that we'll talk about coming up. Like all these classic monster things that they're doing, none of them have the same flavor. None of them are connected, but they're all really, at the very least, interesting. Some might be better than others, but I love that this is what they're choosing to do with their Universal stable. It's incredible. I can't wait for what Radio Silence cooks up.
Same here. Sam, what do we got next? Also, I'm just going to let you know, My screen is completely frozen, but I can hear you, and I know you can hear me, so we're just going to keep going.
Okay, sounds good. There is nothing wrong on my end.
Okay. That's good. That's a good thing then.
Yeah. Okay, so the next thing, this could be good news or bad news depending on how you want to take it. Mia Goth has joined the MCU. She's going to be in the new Blade movie. How do you feel about that, Casey?
I'm glad it's Blade.
Yeah.
Because I think if it was like Mia Goth joins the Eternals too, I'd be like, sure, get your paycheck and then go make another weirdo movie.
Yeah.
But at
yeah.
least with Blade, it feels like obviously she's already ingrained in the modern horror DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And adding herself to this, I think she would. Obviously, she's going to get a nice, healthy paycheck from this because Marvel, Disney. But I think she probably latched onto it because it has a special vibe to it.
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful for this Blade series. It's probably the only MCU TV show I'm actually looking forward to.
Oh, it's going to be a series?
I think so. Am I wrong? Is it a
I did
movie?
not. I guess I didn't. I don't know.
I don't know
I'm not
either.
gonna
I
lie.
guess I
I
don't
am not
remember.
up to date on any of the MCU stuff. I just don't care enough at this point. You know what I mean?
I don't. Yeah, I don't either. I think we're in the same boat. I'm
So
gonna catch up to keep up with it before like an Avengers movie, but
yeah,
I don't
I
care
just
enough
don't.
to
I'm
go
not gonna
opening
keep up
weekend.
with all the Disney Plus stuff though. That's for
No,
sure.
no.
So hopefully, if Blade is a series, it's a good one that catches my attention for more than 2 episodes. Yeah. Is your screen back to normal?
Hey, I'm back. I'm back to normal.
I was about to say I saw the picture change, so I was like, okay, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm pretty excited for this. Again, it makes me wonder how, and not to get into a whole MCU discussion here because I don't want to do that. How how those Netflix shows are gonna tie into the MCU if they're in another universe, but some of the characters are still the same because Mahershala Ali played, is it Cottonmouth?
Oh yeah, he did. Oh my God, he was really good in that too.
In Luke Cage.
In Luke Cage, he
And
was
now
he was the big bad.
Yeah, and now he's playing Blade in the proper MCU. Unless maybe Blade's the one that's in the Elseworld, it's in its own universe, and we can get like an R-rated Blade. Who knows?
That would be cool. So here's what I hope from Blade. Here's what I hope from Mia Goth and Blade. I hope it's a one-off villain performance where she really gets to ham it up. You know, think like a Jeff Goldblum from Thor Ragnarok. Or a Kate Blanchett from Thor Ragnarok. Just someone who's gonna like take the material, eat, make an impression, and then probably never set foot in the MCU again. I just don't want Mia Goth to be locked into a decade worth of motion pictures that aren't necessarily, I don't know. I don't want to pigeonhole her into horror either, but like she's too good in horror to not be in horror, you know? So, but we still have her in Maxine. I think she's always going to do horror. So I trust her. I'm sure she's making the right decision for Mia Goth, and I support that. So,
yeah, I'm glad this is the MCU property she's in.
I agree. I think if I had to choose an MCU property for her, this is probably something that I would say. I think she'll flourish in something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Cool.
What's next?
Next, we have The Last Voyage of the Demeter trailer. I want to put Dawn in front of Demeter. I think it's because of that Narnia movie. The Voyage of the Dawn Treader or something. I keep wanting to say The Last Voyage of the Dawn Demeter. Completely different movie.
It is a completely different movie. Speaking of completely different movies, I didn't watch this trailer until I saw it before Renfield.
Oh yeah. Oh God. It played. So I watched it. I watched it online the minute it hit because I was like, "Oh my God, this is cool." I mean, they literally are making a movie based on one chapter from the Book of Dracula, from like Bram Stoker's novel,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's the coolest shit. Yeah, how did it play for your crowd? Because mine ate it up.
We didn't have a huge crowd. We went
Oh,
in like
okay,
the middle of the afternoon, but
gotcha.
it played very well for me. I love this trailer. This movie is directed by Andre Overdahl, who
Mm-hmm.
directed Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I think a favorite
Yep.
of both of ours.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for this, and when I saw it was Universal too, I'm like, they are putting out two Dracula movies in the same year
Mm-hmm.
with two very different tones.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I'm glad Universal is taking risks like that.
Yeah.
I hope it does better
Also,
at the box office than Renfield did.
I
And I
think it
think it will.
will because it feels more like a straight up horror.
Yeah.
People are gonna at least, I mean, at the very least, if they don't know, oh, this is based on one chapter from Dracula, they're gonna know it's a vampire on a ship. Like
Yeah.
that's a cool premise. Um, Unfortunately, not a lot of people in the general public probably even know what the name Renfield is. Like I think
Yeah.
that was probably to the detriment of the movie, even though it's a perfect title for
Mm-hmm.
it. But yeah.
We're getting
This movie looks great.
we're getting this one very shortly. It comes out August 11th as
Yeah.
well.
Which I always love, like those horror movies that they slip right into the end of summer blockbuster season are
Mm-hmm.
almost always solid. I mean, that's where they put in Overdahl's last movie with Scary Stories to Tell in the
Yeah.
Dark. It had
Yeah.
like a late August
It
release
did.
date. Yeah.
That one should have had an October release date.
It should have. When I found out that it literally is partially set on Halloween, I like cackled. I was so happy.
The opening like 15 minutes is some of my favorites set on
Yeah.
Halloween of any horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that season of the witch needle drop is just
Yeah,
perfect. It's so
perfect.
good.
Yeah, stupid
Oh,
excited for The Last Voyage. This movie looks like it's incredible and scary and gory and a perfect counterbalance to Renfield.
yep. Yep. I agree. The next piece of news is one that you're excited about. You've definitely messaged me about this one. Um, Insidious, The Red Door, now has a trailer.
Heck yeah.
Casey, what'd you think of it?
I, first of all, made me feel old seeing Ty Simpkins
Yeah.
as going to college now. I'm like,
It's
that
like the
makes me
Toy
feel old.
Story 3 all over again, isn't it?
Yep, it is. Because yeah, when Insidious came out, I was, let's see, that was 2010 when that came
2010,
out.
I think. Yeah.
So I was in high school yet,
Yep.
and yeah, obviously Ty Simpkins is probably 10 years old in that first film,
Yep.
and now seeing him go to college 10 years, 13 years later, kind of crazy. I'm glad that we're back in this timeline of the Insidious universe, because 3 and 4 take the prequel route. I'm glad that we're kind of catching up now with the main storyline set up in the first two Insidious movies. Yeah, I'm crazy excited for this. I think Patrick Wilson's going to knock it out of the park. This is his, I believe, it's not his directorial debut, is it?
I think so. Isn't it?
Is it? I don't know. I'll have to. Let me look it up. What did you think, though, Sam?
So, as someone who has only seen the first two and I've only ever rewatched the first one, it looked good.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looked like more of the same. So, I don't know. Like I said, I really want to rewatch I want to rewatch 1 and 2, and I want to watch for the first time 3 and 4.
I'm making you watch them all, Sam.
Yeah. I know we were planning on doing like maybe an Insidious episode at some point when this drops. So I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I had the same thought that you did when I realized that was Ty Simpkins. I'm like, oh my god, like even more so than at the end of Endgame. Um, like he still at least kind of looks like a kid at the end of Endgame.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, okay, but yeah. So I'm pumped. This will be fun.
It is fun. And
Spooky ghost story. I'm interested to see what Patrick Wilson does with it. It's gonna be cool.
yeah, I was going to say this series is known for, like, obviously James Wan did the first two, Lee Winnell took on the third, Adam Robitel did the fourth, and now Patrick Wilson. I'm like, that's a pretty awesome lineup of modern horror directors in this entire series. Yeah, again, I'm crazy excited for it. I forgot that in the second movie that Patrick Wilson and Ty Simpkins characters forget everything that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that that's how it's reintroduced, that they're both kind of having these memories start to come back to them.
Yeah.
I'm ready for Darth Maul Demon to come back too. Why not? Let's do it. They even play
Cheesy
tiptoe
ass
through
moment.
they even play tiptoe through the tulips in this trailer.
I will say this: the poster to this one is incredible. Like, I mean, the artwork is right on the screen right now, and it's such good imagery. It's creepy as hell. I also just realized the red door is a theme from Mike Flanagan's The Haunting of Hill House.
It's in the first movie. That's the first movie too. That they go through the red door. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that too. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Red's a good color for horror. It is.
It is.
But nothing good happens to children behind a red door.
No, kids, stay away from red doors.
Yeah. All right. Next up on the docket, we have a Godzilla versus Kong. Well, Godzilla times Kong.
No.
Godzilla by
Godzilla X Kong.
Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. Dumb title. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I didn't love Godzilla versus Kong, where I know a lot of people did. But I'm not going to say I'm not excited. It's Godzilla and Kong, and I think this time around they're going to just give people what they want. Because I have a similar problem with all of these Godzilla movies. I'm excluding Kong because I think Kong does a better version of it. But the Godzilla movies, I'm like, I don't care about any human character. Get me to Godzilla. Kong Skull Island, I'm at least entertained by the characters with Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Godzilla versus Kong, anytime there was humans on the screen, I was like, get to the giant monkey and lizard fighting already.
I think they did. For me, they did a good enough job keeping me engaged in Godzilla versus Kong. It does slow down when the people are on the screen, but I feel like the monster mayhem kicks up every, I don't know. You've got a big monster fight at least every act, which I appreciated. But yeah, I don't know. I'm stupid excited for this. I just think it's a really dumb title. The teaser did get me pretty pumped, though, because I'm not going to lie. For some reason, I had no idea this was even going to happen. This came out of nowhere for me. I was like, holy shit, they made another one.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I remember like it was talked about. I didn't realize they had shot it, and it's like, oh, here it is. It's ready.
It's like, it's there. And like Adam Wingard was back to direct and everything. I'm like, how did I miss all of this?
And correct me if I'm wrong, Simon Barrett did not work on Godzilla versus Kong with him, correct?
No,
he
did not.
He's working on this one, I do believe.
No shit?
I think so. Let me
I'm gonna look this up.
I am pretty sure, which makes me more excited because again, the writing of Godzilla versus Kong was not great.
Oh my god, yep.
Okay.
He's got a story by credit.
Okay, good.
Different people wrote the screenplay, but he's got a story credit. That makes me happy. That makes me very happy.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm obviously going to watch this in the theater. It's Godzilla and Kong.
Yeah, you can't. This is one that, like, even if they do a day and date HBO Max like the first one, I went and saw that thing in theaters. I was like, no, I'm not gonna sit at home and watch this. I gotta go out to the theater and root for my boy Kong.
Oh, you're a Kong guy.
Right. I am a Kong guy, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna fight.
Yeah. Let them fight.
Sam versus Casey, the new Empire coming soon. Sam
No,
X
Sam
Casey.
X Casey.
Yep.
All right. The next one is one that I'm kind of excited for. Maybe, I don't know. Speak No Evil's getting a remake already, with James McAvoy and Mackenzie Davis in the leads. Casey, have you seen Speak No Evil?
I haven't yet, and when I heard the news of McAvoy joining the cast, I was like, What's Speak No Evil? Like, I'm trying to remember. I thought it was a '90s movie for some reason, and then when I looked it up, I'm like, oh, this like just came out on Shudder last year.
Yeah, I think it's like Danish, maybe Sweden.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a European one, and
I've heard
it's about
it's
this couple.
super dark. That's
I
all I
spoiled it
know
for
about it.
myself because I don't watch any movie that I hear like, oh, it's like super dark. Because like when I go into things like that unspoiled, I get like a smile and something like triggers me because I wasn't expecting it. And so like if I hear something's like really dark, I'll spoil it just so I know. Otherwise, it's like, it can trigger like my fight or flight response. And Speak No Evil is a supremely fucked up kind of movie. The ending is very, very, very dark. And I just read the Wikipedia synopsis of it, so I can't imagine what it's like actually watching it. And the weird thing for me is that Blumhouse is doing this remake. Blumhouse is not going to go with the ending that isn't like. There's no way. Like Blumhouse will not do the ending that is in the original movie.
I'm
And
wondering did you see who's directing the remake at all?
I don't know. I don't think I did. Did they announce a director with it? I
I'm
mean,
not
they have to if they're getting casting, right?
Yeah, I would assume so. I'm not sure. But again, I haven't watched this yet. It seems weird to be doing a remake this
Yeah.
soon
Uh,
after, especially nowadays where like I get Let Me In and Let the Right One In came out not that far apart either, but even 10 years ago when those came out, 10 15 years ago when those came out, cinema landscape was a lot different then. We didn't have streaming where you could watch the
mhm.
original foreign version right away, whereas this just released on Shudder. You can watch it no problem.
And
And
so many people have.
yeah,
This feels very pointless.
it
Um,
it kind of does, and maybe it's just to get like more eyes on it in a theatrical
Maybe.
version. Who knows what the deal is? I'm kind of happy for the filmmakers. At least they're getting some money from this, which
Yeah.
they probably didn't make a whole lot in the Shutter release. So hopefully they're getting at least to do this. Hopefully this also means like if they're not the ones behind the Blumhouse remake, they're at least going to work on something with
Yeah.
Blumhouse. Maybe they signed a deal with them somehow, some way. That's. I mean, I'm looking at the positives here of what could come of this.
Oh yeah. And I think there's definitely like something to be said for it in that aspect. I don't know. The director, by the way, is James Watkins, who has directed Eden Lake, The Woman in Black, um, an episode of Black Mirror. So like
Hmm.
not a whole lot of stuff, but
Like the woman, like the Daniel Radcliffe.
yeah, the Daniel Radcliffe
Okay,
one.
I like that movie.
So yeah, it's good. It's atmospheric. Eden Lake is a really messed up movie too. So I don't know. He might knock this out of the park. I just have a hard time believing that like Blumhouse and Universal in a mainstream like wide release like that are gonna go with the ending that is in the movie because it's like okay, like it's not a studio ending. It's just
Okay.
not. It's
I'm
yeah.
excited to check it out. I want to check it out
Although
with the news of this.
although I guess The Mist was a big studio movie, right?
Yeah. Also,
Okay,
Stephen King. I mean, lots of
yeah.
variables. We
Yeah,
who knows
lots of
what we could get.
variables. Who knows? Maybe this will be the this will be the movie that like Blum puts out to like be like, see, we can do it too, A24.
Maybe.
I don't know. Be cool.
I hope this next movie has a super dark ending too.
crap. My notes fell apart on me.
Giant shark movie.
Yes. Oh, okay. The Meg 2, The Trench trailer hasn't been made available online yet, but they showed the first footage of it at CinemaCon. I almost said SuperCon. I wish.
We didn't get the first footage of.
We didn't
Meg.
get the scoop.
We didn't get the scoop of Meg 2 Electric Boogaloo. No.
So have you seen any of the talk coming out of CinemaCon about this yet?
About the Meg 2? No.
Okay, so apparently the trailer starts with footage of the Meg tearing apart a T-Rex. Like there's a T-Rex versus Meg fight.
Okay.
Multiple Megs, multiple megalodons, a bunch of different creatures, including a giant squid that also come up from the trench. And apparently at one point in the trailer, Jason Statham is in a mechanical like mecha suit a la underwater and fighting 3 Megs at once.
Okay.
If all of this is true and this isn't just like people pulling like a massive, because that would suck. I've only seen one person tweet about the mecha Jason Statham suit, but I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility given the other things that I've heard. Also, that's what the fans want, right? But
that's what I thought the first movie was going to be. I thought Jason Statham was going to punch a shark in the face.
Which, I mean, he kind of punched a shark in the face with a harpoon, I guess, but not as cool.
Not as fit.
So yeah, I'm stoked. You know me. I love shark movies. I love big shark movies. And I'm one of the rare people that was like, no, I really dug the Meg. It's a 3-star movie, but it's a 3-star movie that I like really enjoy.
Is this dropping later this year?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it might be.
We might have to talk some shark horror. Again, I talked about it when we talked about Big Shark and what's the other?
The Black Demon, which hits theaters this weekend already.
We're not going to.
That's insane. I know.
Yeah.
I hope we do it eventually, but
we might have to do some shark horror. I'm not the biggest shark horror fan, and I said that on that episode. I will say it here too. I don't think I finished the Meg.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I watched like half of it and then got distracted doing something else. I don't think I finished the movie.
It's fair. It's not. I'm not going to say The Meg is a groundbreaking masterpiece. It's not. Like I said, it's a pretty 3-star movie. It's just a 3-star movie that hits all the right 3-star notes with me, and I just really enjoy it.
It gets you in all the right places.
Yeah. The year it came out, I popped it on a lot. It was a good dishes movie. But yeah, I'm stoked for the Meg 2. If we do shark horror, I kind of want to do a deep, like not a deep cut, but I kind of want to do Deep Blue Sea 3 because that is like
you mean Deep Blue 3?
Yeah, Deep Blue 3. It's not good, but it really leans into the wackiness and kind of circles back around to being good.
When I'm saying when we do shark horror,
yes.
I'm gonna leave that totally up to you. What 2 movies we're gonna do?
Yeah.
I don't care.
We're not gonna do.
As long as it's not Jaws.
Yeah. No. God, no.
Maybe Jaws 2.
Enough has been said about Jaws. I have never seen the Jaws sequels. Well, okay, I've seen bits and pieces of them. I know that the shark roars and like stuff like that. The Jaws 3D thing.
Jaws 2 rules.
I've actually heard Jaws 2 is really good.
Jaws 2 is a slasher movie with a shark.
And seeing as like I held off on the Psycho sequels for so long because I'm like, there's no way. And then I ended up kind of liking Psycho 2 almost as much, if not more, than Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. I'm like, yeah, I should probably check out the Jaws sequels.
No.
I know
Jaws
3 and 4 are terrible.
3 or 4 are unwatchably bad.
Oh my God. But sometimes those are fun too.
They're movies. Barely.
They're movies. Yeah. So, I mean, the point of this is I love sharks. I'm going to make Casey watch some shark movies.
Let's do it.
And yeah, we're going to do that coming this summer because I'll probably be watching a butt ton of shark movies anyways. That's my summer horror. That's my summer horror mode is like I go into aquatic horror mode and that's like all I watch. So All right, Casey. It's time to
Yes.
open up your toy box.
All right. So let's open up the toy box. Let's see what's new, what's coming out. Two things I'm very excited about coming out here. First up, Scream the game is coming from Funko. It is going to be a card game. It looks like you're trying to figure out who the murderer is
I love that.
based on it's based on the first film. Some of the landmarks include the Stumacher's house as one of the landmarks on the game. It doesn't look too crazy. It looks like it'll probably be a smaller Funko game. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for this. I'm glad that they're doing more horror games because Funko is they're not just Funko Pops. They have so much more that they're doing for toys, and Funko games from the ones I've played have been pretty fun.
Yeah.
So I'm excited
absolutely.
that we're getting a Scream game now.
Yeah. I mean, you and I both we both game. Like board game. We game.
We're
Bro.
gamers. We're gamers of boards.
So yeah, I don't know. Anytime I hear about a horror game, I'm always in. And sometimes the small like card ones are like my favorites. Like I have a Hocus Pocus one from Ravensburger that's literally it's just a card game essentially, and it's so much fun. Like you can spend hours on it, and it's great. You fighting the Sanderson sisters all night for real. So
yeah, I think we're going to keep getting some more different horror titles as board games. We're getting the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
I'm so excited for that one.
We also got last year a My Bloody Valentine board game, and we also got a Silent Night, Deadly Night game too.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I think we're going to keep seeing some more obscure ones, especially. I mean, who's like, yeah, I want the Silent Night, Deadly Night board game. That's
I
crazy.
want a Phantom of the Mall Eric's Revenge board game.
Not a Chopping Mall, the board game?
Oh my god, actually, a Chopping Mall board game with like 3 actual levels of board.
I was just going to say, like a Mousetrap Chopping Mall game.
Yes! Oh my god, dude! We should kickstart that. People would pay for it.
I think people would pay for it. Coming soon, Chopping Mall the game. We'll start working on it. Have a nice day. Next up in terms of toy news, Fright Rags and Plastic Meatball are teaming up once again to release the Wave 2 of their Halloween 3.25-inch action figures. The first lineup included Michael Myers, Laurie Strode, and I'm blanking on her name. Sam, you're gonna have to help me.
PJ Souls' character, Linda.
Yes, Linda. Yeah. Those are actually all still in stock on Fright Rag. So if you are
they really
to complete the set, they are still on there. But they just announced, and when this episode drops, they will be available to purchase the Wave 2 lineup. And this lineup has me super excited. First up, Annie Brackett.
Yeah.
Comes with some school books. I am very excited for that. That's super cool. I'm loving that they're throwing in like side characters. It's like,
yeah,
you would never think, you would have, Annie Brackett as an action figure.
Yeah. I've got my little army figures that they did a few years back. The Fright Rags ones. They're like half of them are glow in the dark, or the big Michael Myers ones glow in the dark, and then the other ones are just like black and orange. But yeah, I don't think there was a Sheriff Brackett one though.
That is the other one here. Sheriff Brackett comes with a flashlight and a gun. And then I think the big one here, Dr. Loomis, with the removable coat, and it is cloth material, and he comes with his gun that you can shoot Michael Myers in the face 6 times with.
The boxes are so cool.
6 times? 7 times. What's the line?
6? Isn't it 6?
I think so.
Oh my god.
We're failing. We're going to cancel our show. Can't even quote Halloween.
Hey Siri, how many
times did Dr. Loomis shoot Michael Myers?
How do you do this? Come on, Siri. How many times did Dr. Loomis shoot Michael Myers, Siri? 6.
6 times.
It is 6 times. Yeah.
Okay, I was right the first time. Yeah, these figures rule.
Yeah.
I have to debate now if I want them all. Because
I know.
you can't just get one.
If
You could get Michael and Laurie or Michael and Loomis.
I was about to say I'd almost get Michael and Loomis if I was only gonna get a couple, but like
You can't just
they're
get.
also cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't just get like I'm just gonna get Sheriff Brackett and that's it.
That's like there's just one guy that's just like a super huge fan of Sheriff
I
Brackett. Like
love Sheriff Brackett.
he got hosed in kills, man. I mean, he did get hosed in kills, but yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited for these. If I can afford them, I might pick these up. To be honest with you,
$20.
Halloween is still like my favorite movie of all time, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, $20 is the price on all of these
per one.
Per one, yeah.
Yikes, that's steep.
I know.
That's steep, brother. And I was going to use my tax return money for actual, like, useful things.
Get fun things instead. So, I mean, it's $120 for the entire set. That's not terrible for 6 figures.
No, that's not. I mean, especially because, like, granted, they're the like super like inarticulate ones, but they're fun and they actually have a surprising amount of like detail and attention to character.
And you're not going to take them out of the package.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like, God, I feel like if I had them, the boxes are so cool.
The boxes are so cool.
I'm still like a 10-year-old kid though, dude. Like I cannot keep things in the box. I'm terrible at it. I did it with all my Funko Pops too. Like I never keep them in the box, man.
So what's crazy is, so these are the 3 1/4 inch, like I always think of my Star Wars figures. Like this is the classic Star Wars size figures.
Yeah.
Just to kind of put it in perspective for people. Indiana Jones has just released ones with the new movie coming out. And they look awful.
Oh, really?
They look awful, and those are at like $12 price range at Walmart and Target.
Are those like Hasbro doing those?
I'm not sure who's behind them.
Hasbro can be really lazy with their sculpts, dude.
They were pretty dang lazy with their sculpts and the paint work on them. These look incredible. These have so much attention to detail. And again, like having Loomis with the cloth material jacket, I'm like, that's such a nice touch that you won't see any other figure do of this side.
Yeah. I want to be a tailor for like little action figures, man. I just want to make little tiny Loomis coats.
Sam's dream job, making tiny Loomis coats.
Fright Rags, hit me up on your next I'll learn. Oh man. All right.
That's it.
Now it's time for the next segment where I ask Casey, what are you doobie doing?
What am I doobie doing? You sounded a bit like Perd Hapley right there. It's time for the next segment, and that segment begins now.
I love Perd Hapley.
I do too. I'm going to start off with fun stuff, and then I'll go to my movies. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely. God, do I have any fun stuff? I don't think I do this time.
Not yet.
Not yet, but I might.
I can hear Kayla and Maria in the next room. She has your fun stuff right now.
Oh.
Because I went to Grand Comic Fest in Grand Island, Nebraska this past weekend. We got you some stuff. Maria has it.
Well, thanks.
If she wants to share. I don't know. Maybe it's just hers. Maybe you don't have anything, Sam.
Yeah, she might not share with me.
Maybe we didn't get you anything after all. But I picked up a bunch of stuff. So Grand Island, Nebraska. It's about 4 hours from us in Sioux Falls. So we drove through Omaha, Lincoln, and then we hit Grand Island. So we hit up a couple toy stores along the way. Shout out to the Imaginarium in Omaha, Pop Culture Exchange in Omaha, and Toys from the Past in Lincoln. Those are the three places we hit up. Highly recommend all three. Pop Culture Exchange and Imaginarium are like my go-tos whenever we go to Omaha. Coolest stores. This was my first time at Toys from the Past in Lincoln. Loved it. My favorite thing I got was there, and I'll start with those. I already showed you these, Sam. We talk about Toxic Crusaders quite a bit on this show. I found them.
These are so cool.
I found them. So first up, got Dr. Killamoff.
Yep. It's so rad.
It's
I
so
love it.
cool. It's so cool. The paint looks good. Like, it doesn't look like a kid played with these hardly at all. I was so happy when I saw these in the
Kid was an
in the
idiot.
case.
Wasn't a Toxic Crusaders fan.
Yeah. It's like, these aren't Ninja Turtle figures. I'm not going to play with them. And then I also got Psycho.
Yes.
He's missing some of his armor, but like, that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's okay.
I don't care. Got these both like on a really good deal. They had some of the other ones. They had Toxie.
Did they?
They had a couple other ones, and I'm like, a bit too rich for my blood. The Toxic Crusader figures are not cheap, especially the ones online on eBay. So I was lucky to find those pretty cheap.
Yep.
Easily my favorite thing I got this weekend.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Picked up a Jordan Peele Funko Pop.
Oh, yeah.
With the monkey paw hat.
Yep, and the beard. So distinguished. God, that's cool.
Got him on the back on the set of Us. It's going to go nice with my Us Funko Pops that I have.
Yeah.
Got him at a Five Below, which I love those stores. I'm glad we're getting one in Sioux Falls.
We're getting a Five Below here?
We are getting a Five Below.
Ooh, that's exciting.
So I got him for $5.
I had never been to a Five Below until I went with you and Kayla that one time.
Yeah, and, it rules, right?
Yeah, it was really cool.
I got, again, at the Imaginarium, they have these like mystery boxes of like all different kinds. Like, there's Harry Potter ones, there's Pokemon ones, there's horror ones, there's any fandom you can think of. So obviously I got a Friday the 13th one. Came with a Jason keychain and a Jason Funko Pop keychain.
Yes.
So those are cool.
I love it.
Speaking of Toxic Avengers and Toxic Crusaders, I Heart the Monster Hero. It's one of those Trick or Treat Studios air fresheners. I'm like, that's gonna be so
that's
cool.
Awesome.
Again, I'm on my Fangoria kick. Found a Fangoria with Return of the Living Dead 3 on the cover for $5.
Very nice.
Like, yep, getting that. One I don't have, and two, it was super cheap.
Yeah.
But another highlight, and maybe the biggest highlight of the weekend, we were at Grand Comic Fest in Grand Island. I was helping out with the SuperCon booth, and while we were there, they had some awesome guests. They had the mystery machine, like someone had a mystery machine there, which was super cool
rad.
to see. I failed and didn't get a picture in front of the mystery machine.
Oh no! Are they coming to SuperCon though?
I'm pretty sure. So the funny thing is, like, you know how it goes at conventions. It is like a summer camp.
Yeah.
And you always meet people and you see them every day. And yeah, I hit it off with the guy who owns the mystery machine, Tanner. And he's about our age, maybe a little younger, and he owns the mystery machine. And he's an uber Scooby-Doo fan too. So we were just geeking out about Scooby-Doo. So I am hoping he's coming to Sioux Falls for SuperCon. I think so. Cool. I think he is. But yeah, I'll make sure to get a picture then. We can I can get a picture then.
Yeah, we can get a picture. We should cosplay. Like, I'm gonna get you a dog onesie, and I'm gonna show up in like a green T-shirt and brown slacks.
All right, I can be Scooby. But the last more.
Sorry, what?
I met Bob
Elmore for a minute.
I met Bob Elmore, who was Leatherface in part 2.
Yeah. How was that?
And got him to sign this Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 poster.
That's awesome, dude. That's really rad.
This is the Scream Factory cover that came out on their Blu-ray. I got him to sign by Leatherface. Obviously, Caroline Williams is on the front. I'm going to get her to sign.
And we're going to dig Dennis Hopper up, and we're going to make sure he signs it, too.
I'm going to grab his bones and make him sign it. There's room for Bill Moseley when I hopefully eventually meet him to sign that too. So I think there's enough room
Yeah, we're gonna meet him,
get it.
dude. We're gonna make a movie with him someday.
We're gonna make a movie with Bill Moseley. Bill Moseley, if you are listening, we'll make a movie with you.
Yes. Putting it out into the universe now.
Putting it out there. But yeah, that's everything I picked up, at least horror-wise. I picked up a couple other non-horror things too, but this is a horror show, cool. God damn it.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny? Like, I have so many things. I'm like, oh God, I should talk about this on the show. And I'm like, it's not horror though. Mm-hmm. It's not horror enough.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What else I've been doing in terms of recent watches? I have a couple. I know we do have some overlap on ours too.
Yeah.
I'll kick things off with the first one. It's a new movie, Pope's Exorcist, the Russell Crowe exorcism movie, based on a true story, sort of. This, at least the guy's name was real and he was an exorcist. Besides that, nothing else is really true. I didn't know what to expect going into this movie. I didn't watch any trailers. I was expecting him to exorcise the Pope. That didn't happen. I was a little bummed, but
yeah.
Overall, this movie is not good. It is literally a mixture of every horror movie cliche you can think of. Alex Esso is the female lead. Her and her kids move from America to England. They inherit this house. Turns out it's spooky wooky. One of the kids gets possessed, and they have to call in an exorcist to exorcise the demon. The bad thing is they don't ever finish the story with her. So that small spoilers for the Pope's Exorcist, but they set up like she's like having this kind of character arc. Their dad passed away and she's trying to reconnect with her kids by inheriting this house. And literally as soon as they exorcise the demon from these kids, they just disappear from the movie.
That's weird,
we get zero resolution, wrap up, nothing with her. She's great in the movie, nothing with after the climax in terms of a wrap up. This movie does the thing where it tries to set up multiple sequels, like literally like 200 of them. Apparently, I guess we didn't talk about this in the news. They're in the early works for Pope's Exorcist 2, Electric Boogaloo. I'm all for it. Why not? I don't care. I'll maybe watch it in the theater. This movie isn't good. It's a mishmash of The Conjuring, The Exorcist, even a little Nightmare on Elm Street. It gets a little crazier than most exorcism movies, where it's at least like has some gore at the end and some fun, like funny moments of like Russell Crowe is kind of this eccentric alcoholic exorcist, and at least that's fun. But the rest of the movie is really just unfortunately bland and boring. And doesn't make it memorable. Russell Crowe is fun, and that's why I'm sort of excited. Maybe they can go a little crazier in the sequel and give him not only more to do, but give the rest of the movie kind of that same level of energy that he was bringing. It just wasn't great. I would say I'd recommend it on like when it starts streaming on a Friday night. Just pop it on.
Yeah. Exorcism movies are like one of my least favorite genres. You have to really do it right for me to enjoy it. This one did not look like it was for me. I'm probably going to hit it up when it's on streaming, though, just because curiosity's gotten the better of me.
You might have fun.
Yeah. And, I don't know. It's also directed by Julius Avery, who did Overlord. And Overlord was entirely my shit. Like, that was maybe one of my favorite movies. Like, probably top 5 for me the year it came out. I loved Overlord. So
I haven't seen Overlord yet. I should now that I've seen probably the lesser of the two.
Yeah. Dude, we should. There was another war horror movie you wanted me to watch. I can't remember what it was, though. We should do a double feature episode with it. You watch Overlord, and I'll watch. I think it was on Shudder. Was it Blood Vessel?
Yeah.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll watch Blood Vessel. You watch Overlord.
Okay.
We should do an episode on that. That would be
World
cool.
War II horror. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I watched Devil's Due from 2014. I had never seen it. Also, didn't realize the Radio Silence guys made that movie. It was a found footage movie that I was at least interested when it came out, and just I don't know, for some reason didn't watch when it released. That was definitely in that era of like, yeah, I'll watch any horror, especially found footage. This movie has a really fun 2/3. but I think the last act kind of loses it and just kind of becomes a little generic. Like it's a found footage Rosemary's Baby,
Gotcha.
but it doesn't go anything further than that. It has a fun setup that they're in a foreign country, but as soon as they get back to America and the spooky stuff starts happening, just kind of becomes a Rosemary's Baby / Paranormal Activity riff, and it doesn't ever escape past that. I mean, I think it's worth a watch, but it's not going to blow your socks off.
Nothing to write home about.
No. Another one that should not be written about at all or watched. One Missed Call, the remake of One Missed Call from 2008. It was one of those movies.
Is this the first time you've seen it?
Yeah. And it was just one that we always saw the poster of on streaming services, and Kayla always wanted to watch it. We finally watched it. This is one of the worst horror movies ever made. It's...
You don't even have to put horror in front of it. It's like...
It's an awful movie.
Oh, dude.
From the directing, the acting, the writing, everything. It's an awful movie. I hope... I was begging for Motorola to go out of business before this movie ended. That's how bad this movie is. It is awful. It is a movie funded by Motorola, and that's the only thing I remember about it. All the Motorola product placements. Ray Weiss is in it for like a scene and leaves. Good for him. Get your paycheck. Get the hell out of here. This movie's awful.
Okay. I have a funny story about this movie.
Hopefully it's better than the movie.
I went to a church. I was at church lock-in like my freshman year of high school, right? No. And we all wanted to go to the movie theater. And so we went to the Fort Dodge Theater where I think there's 8 screens there. And everybody was trying to decide what movie. And I don't even remember what I wanted to go see, but somehow it got narrowed down to either The Bucket List or One Missed Call. And I was like, I am not seeing a drama that's gonna try and make me cry and all this stuff. Like, no, that's not the vibe tonight. I'm gonna go see a horror movie. About halfway through the movie, I seriously considered walking out of the theater and going to The Bucket List and just watching the end of that one because it was like, this is awful. And that was back when you could put just about any horror movie in front of me and I would love it.
Oh, Sam, we were 10 minutes into this and we both looked at each other and like, this is awful, right? Yeah. You want to shut it off? Kayla's like, no, we're in it to finish it. I'm like,
it's really bad. And it doesn't get better.
No,
it gets worse. Almost progressively gets worse. Like the ending is so infuriating. I don't even remember what exactly happens. I just remember walking out of the theater going, are you kidding me?
It is a terrible movie. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Don't watch One Missed Call.
No, don't. It's a cynical cash grab, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I'll throw my last one in here before I know we have some crossover. I watched Jason Goes to Hell the final Friday because we watched Jason Takes Manhattan, and I said on there that might be the worst Friday the 13th movie. I'm here to say Jason Takes Manhattan is the worst Friday the 13th movie. I had a ton of fun watching Jason Goes to Hell this time.
It's a fun movie, man. It's
a fun movie. It's a terrible Friday the 13th movie, but it's a fun horror movie. It's a fun early 90s horror movie, especially. Yeah. The things I love the injection of, obviously the Evil Dead stuff, saying, basically Jason's a Deadite. That panel of where he's read from the Necronomicon, that they had to use the Kandarian dagger to kill Jason. Body swapping Jason is awful, stupid, should not be in this movie at all.
I think it's funny.
It's so dumb. I hate it so much. I do like one of the new characters. I like Creighton Duke a lot. I wish he was in more of the Friday the 13th movies. I think he's one of the best protagonists of the series. He has some of the best lines.
Yep.
It's so great. I love the diner stuff. It's not a perfect movie. It's not a great movie. It's not a great Friday the 13th movie. It's a ton of fun, and I will always fist pump in the air when I see Freddy Krueger's glove dragging Jason's mask
Yeah.
into the dirt, into hell.
Also, here's maybe my biggest hot take of Jason Goes to Hell. Its opening sequence is the best opening sequence of any Friday movie.
Disagree.
I genuinely
Jason lives.
love it.
Jason lives.
Oh God. Okay, Jason. Okay, but you can't even like Jason Lives is like the 5-star banger that you just kind of like.
Okay, yeah.
You
It's
know
the
how
best,
you
though.
just you know how you don't compare the Halloween sequels to Halloween or the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels to Nightmare on Elm Street? I feel like you can't compare the rest of the Friday the 13th movies to Jason Lives. You just can't because it's the best one out of all of them.
I will say the one thing Jason Takes Manhattan does better. Jason looks incredible in Jason Takes Manhattan. Jason looks awful in Jason Goes to Hell. It is my
Yeah.
least favorite look by far of Jason.
Yeah, but they explode him in the intro. And
He
it's
does get it.
incredible.
I love that.
It's
The
the
look of
best
him is
thing
awful,
ever.
though. The mask is like too small and it's sinking into his face. I don't know. It doesn't look
Yeah.
good. It looks cheap.
Yeah, it does. It does.
The last two movies I have, I think you have them on yours. I'm not sure. I rewatched Sinister.
Yeah.
This movie rules. I love it more and more every time I watch it. It's dark, it's eerie, it's scary. It has a fantastic lead performance. Ethan Hawke is so good in this movie. I don't think we as a horror collective talk enough about his performance in this movie. He's so good. There's one scene that I don't like, and I still don't like. It's the scene where it's about halfway through the movie where he's walking through the house by himself, and it's all slow motion, and the kids are running behind him, and anytime he turns around, they disappear. It's too hokey for me.
You don't like
I don't like it. I don't think it's scary at all. I find it super cheesy, and it pulls me out of the movie for that scene. But I get sucked back in with the rest of it. It's just so dumb. I don't like that scene at all. I think it's
God.
awful and super cheesy, not scary at all, where the rest of the movie is terrifying. Talk about great cold opens, though.
Oh,
cold
yeah.
open for this
Oh,
movie is
yeah.
chilling.
Unparalleled. I like the scene you were talking about. I enjoy it. I think it's eerie, but I understand. Like it is like I get where you're coming from on that one. Yeah, I didn't catch the beginning of this. I got to your place when you guys were already kind of partway through it. Well, we made it through most of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, this movie rules. It's so good.
And then we watched that, and then we watched Lights Out right after. A movie I hadn't seen in a while. Super effective until it's not. The ending is awful. I love David F. Sandberg. I think he made the best DC Universe movie in Shazam. I haven't seen Shazam 2 yet. Very excited for that one.
It's very fun.
He's made the best Annabelle movie. I mean, the scariest Annabelle movie. He made the scariest Annabelle movie. I like Annabelle Comes Home, but Creation might be a better movie.
I agree with that. But It Comes Home is the one I'm going to pop on more frequently.
Yeah. But
Creation is dark.
Yeah, it is. And so is this movie, especially the ending. And the dark ending is not the right one for this, especially for the rest of the movie is kind of this fun thrill ride of taking that short premise of Lights Out, of this creature you can only see when it's dark, and when it's light, it disappears. Such a great concept, used to its fullest potential in this movie. Ending is awful. Wrong call on that, in every way. And I haven't heard David Sandberg talk about it since. He might regret. I don't know. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth. Maybe they want to go with a different ending now, and maybe looking back at it almost 10 years later, I think it was the wrong call on the ending.
So I looked it up because this was the first time I'd seen it. I really like the short. I really like David F. Sandberg. I love following his YouTube stuff. He's always talking about like the actual technique behind filmmaking, how to do things on a budget, just at home by yourself. I think all of that is super cool. I think he really dropped the ball in the ending on this movie.
Hmm.
It kind of ruined the rest of the movie for me in a big way.
It's the last thing your audience remembers, and to have that be the
Yeah,
last thing your audience remembers is not fun. And it's like, I don't want to rewatch that.
yeah, and I looked it up because I was like, he has to have commented on this. Like,
Hmm.
there's no way he hasn't, and he did. And like, it sounds like I understand where he was coming from. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but essentially he was like, I don't know. I don't mind characters sacrificing themselves for the survival of other characters. That's a
It's
trope I'm fine with. It's
it
how
it's
it's
how. Yep. Yep.
yeah. And so
100%.
like it's just it's not yeah. So I don't know. He might regret it 10 years on or whatever, but yeah, this one like it was completely on like I was completely on its level. I was completely on board until I wasn't. And I derailed hard from this one, and it
Hmm.
just I don't know if I could fully recommend it
And
in a way, you
what
know what I
kind of
mean?
yeah, and what kind of sucks is like it goes for that dark ending whereas the rest of the movie subverts so much of horror tropes, like the
Yeah.
boyfriend especially, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, one, we like you a lot. Two,
Yeah.
you're gonna die, and you said it while watching. Oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
no way
I
he's
thought he
making
was
out of this
dead
movie,
multiple times. Yeah.
and he makes it and
He makes
survives
it.
because he's
He's
one
the
of the
smartest
smartest.
one.
Yeah, and I love that it subverts that. But
Hmm.
again, the ending and how it's gone about, if
Yeah.
they would have changed how this character sacrifices themselves, I would like this a lot
Yeah.
more and be more inclined to say this is one of the great horror movies of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I
Oh
still
yeah.
like it a lot. I still think it's a great horror movie with an awful ending.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So aside from that,
I'm
I'll
not
just
to be
say
doing anything
goodbye.
else, but what are
Yeah.
you do be doing?
Yeah. So I've been kind of introduced, like there were a few movies that I was just like, I have to introduce Maria to these. Like these are movies that I love, that
Mhm.
I'd kind of been wanting her to watch for a while. And so I showed her April Fool's Day because I knew she would just really vibe with it. And God, I really love this one.
It's great.
I seriously like it might be one of my favorite 80s slashers, to be honest with you. Like there's just a vibe to this one that's charming and laid back. I mean, it's essentially a hangout movie that also just happens to be a slasher, and
Mhm.
it somehow never loses that tone. I think the double fake out ending is a little dumb. Like there's like an ending and then there's another ending, and it's kind of like, okay, the first ending was good, the second ending was tacked on. um and obviously no spoilers, but yeah, there's some fun surprises to be had in this one, and some really good I don't know, just some really fun characters, and I'd say like really memorable kills. But like a lot of the kills are not like super, this isn't a movie that's focused on gore. I actually kind of had to like, I'm surprised that it's rated R. It feels to me almost like a PG movie, but there are moments of gore in it. So
I've only seen the movie once. I really liked it. What it
yeah,
always reminds me of is like it reminds me of Caddyshack or Animal House, but a slasher movie, if that makes
yeah,
any sense.
yeah,
Where it's
very
like it's
much in
just
that
kind of this
vein.
fun, laid back vibe,
Yeah,
super lighthearted. You don't have to take anything too seriously.
yeah. It's like it's a perfect like, I don't know, just Sunday afternoon movie,
Hmm.
weirdly enough.
Yeah,
Like I love
yeah.
it. I love it. So yeah, I showed her that one. I introduced her to a few of my top tens from last year that she hadn't watched with me yet. Deadstream, which that movie just gets better every time I watch
Hmm.
it. It's so good. Evil Dead for the YouTube generation, and yeah, the gross out gags. I forgot about half of the gross out gags in the final like 15 minutes of that movie. Like our lead character goes through so much like
Hmm.
literal shit at times, and it's like, oh my god, it's like it's making you laugh and gag at the same time, and it's the best. um and then I yeah, Orphan First Kill was another one that, God, this movie is so rewatchable. And honestly, on rewatch, it's a complete, like, it's a different experience on a rewatch. Everything that these actors are doing in the first two, like, well, I guess first act, because like
It's pretty
second
early
act,
in the
you,
movie that
yeah,
you
it's
figure out
pretty
what's going on.
early. Yeah, but those first act performances, how it's edited, how it's written. The second time you watch it, knowing where it's going, you're like, oh my God, this is so smart. Like, I love this movie. I think I might have I can't remember where it ended up on my top 10, but it might be too low on my top 10.
Yeah, that movie rules. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we stan William Brent Bell on this
Yeah,
podcast. We
we do.
definitely do.
He's hit or miss, but when he hits, I love it.
Even when he misses, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
entertained.
yeah.
This is a total hit. This is one of those. This Strangers Pray at Night and Don't Breathe 2 are like taking these fun concepts and just
Mm-hmm.
turning those concepts on their head and turning it up
Yep.
to 11 at the same time.
I'll even throw in Flanagan's Ouija sequel,
Yeah.
Origin of Evil. That one was really good too. Yeah, it's great. Sometimes, like, and to be fair, the first Orphan is very good too. Like, I really like the first Orphan, and that's another one that also benefits on a rewatch. Like, it's so tense on a rewatch because you know what's going on before the characters do, and it makes every situation that they're put in that much worse. But yeah, the Orphan movies rule, and Orphan First Kill is my favorite of the two. But yeah. I watched Grizzly, which is a '70s bear movie, and it was a '70s bear movie. It was fine. There were some good gags. Like, it's blatantly a Jaws ripoff. I mean, beat for beat, like it's hilarious, and it does none of them as well as Jaws, obviously. See early in our conversation. But yeah, Grizzly was fun. If you like that kind of thing, check it out. If you don't, it's not going to sway you. Continuing Yellow Jackets, season 2 is a banger. I have watched season 2, episode 5 twice since it aired on Friday. It's the best episode yet. I cannot wait to see where they're going with this. This is next level TV shit, man. I'm in love with this show. And they're taking a week break, so the next episode isn't even until next Friday, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, you're killing me. So yeah, Yellow Jackets, get on it. And I saved this for last because I know this is the one you're most excited about. I watched The Last Drive-In, or at least part of The Last Drive-In. I tried to stay up for the whole thing. I was tweeting from the Screams from the Basement Twitter account. If you were, tweeting with me, thanks. It was fun. I fell asleep halfway through the second movie, but I made it through the first half of Joe Bob's Lucio Fulci double feature where he played Zombie. Casey, you have been singing Fulci's praises for as long as I've known you. You've been trying to get me to watch these. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm not a fan of eyeball gore. Although I don't know if I can say that anymore, to be totally honest with you. So, like, Lucio Fulci always kind of, like, made me nervous. Like, I was going to get to him eventually. But I'm like, oh, God, he's known for being, like, super gory and icky. And I'm like, I don't know. It was gory, sure. But, like, his gore works for me. Holy crap. Zombie is like one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. It's so good. A shark fights a zombie in it. That scene's insane. The score is like so. People can talk all they want about like the unnecessary talky long scenes and the characters aren't blah blah blah. Who gives a shit when you have like literal zombies coming out of flames like towards your TV? It looks like zombies are coming out of hell at you. The eyeball, the like splinter in the eyeball scene totally lives up to the hype. It's one of the best, like, it's such a gross moment. It's great. Like, I knew where it was going and it still had me riveted, and I was still shocked. I watched the whole thing on Shudder's like scariest moments or whatever, because they showed the whole clip. And I was still like, oh no, they're gonna cut away. Oh god, they're still not cutting away, and it just keeps going longer than you expect it to, even after you've seen it already. It's so good. Oh, and the final shot of the zombies walking over the bridge and them telling the story of how they got that shot. Just, oh, 10 out of 10 Joe Bob experience. That movie rules. I can't wait to go back and watch his presentation of The Beyond because it is now streaming for replay on Shudder. I'm going to be doing that this week. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm in on Fulci. Man. I loved it.
I obviously missed it. I need to go back. I was in Grand Island and got back to
Danhausen shows up.
I got back to our hotel room, and so I had a text from Sam, and he was freaking out about a Lucio Fulci double feature on Joe Bob, and Danhausen is on it, and David Dastmalchian. Like,
yeah.
How of all the weeks to miss Joe Bob,
yeah,
feels like the one most made for me. I need to get back to it at some point. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm so happy you loved Zombie. I hope you love The Beyond even more because that's my favorite Fulci.
I loved what I saw of it.
Okay.
It was supremely weird and messed up, and I was like, I'm vibing with this. It's spooky.
It is.
It's like, it's very eerie. Oh, I loved it. Yeah, and I totally okay. When people talk about Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island being a Fulci movie, after watching the opening scene of The Beyond, I'm like, yep, totally get it. Totally get it.
I was going to say, between The Beyond and Zombie,
oh yeah,
you get the Fulci vibes that are in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island 100%. For sure.
100%. Yeah, yeah. God, so good. All right.
Is that
it's time for our I think that's all for me. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot that was in my court. I have nothing else.
I surprisingly did not watch any Fulci. I know that was all you this time, Sam.
Yeah, it was all me. I like Fulci. I'm all in. I can't wait to watch The Beyond. I'm hoping to watch some of his other stuff too.
Hell yeah.
I will defer to you for the next steps because I don't know him.
Well, obviously House by the Cemetery and City.
Oh, that's a Fulci movie?
Yep. And City of the Living Dead.
Okay.
Are the two you should follow up with after The Beyond.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Let's move on though.
Yeah, we've got a main topic.
To our main topic. We're only an hour and 20 minutes into this, and we're finally getting to our main topic. That's okay.
We only do these every 2 weeks. We gotta make these an event. Our 9 fans want to hear from us.
Hey, we have more than that. We're making ourselves the Zack Snyder epic. That's what we present to people. But we're doing a double feature. We're doing a monster double feature, focusing on the monster's famous sidekicks. First up, we're going to be talking about 2015's Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Victor Frankenstein is based on the classic Mary Shelley novel. Victor Frankenstein is told from the perspective of Igor, played by Daniel Radcliffe, as the hunchback savant. He is discovered by a scientist named Victor Frankenstein, played by James McAvoy. We talked about both of those guys earlier on in the show. In Victor Frankenstein, the two form a bond and partnership under the joint. Excuse me. The two form a bond and partnership as Victor begins his experiments to create human life. Obviously, you know the classic story. This movie starts with that line of the classic story.
Yeah.
It starts with this voiceover from
super cheesy voiceover
from Igor. Renfield has a voiceover that starts the movie too. Those movies definitely have that in common.
Yeah. A lot of similarities in these movies.
I think it was nice that we paired these two together. I think thematically they have a lot in common.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
This movie was released November 25th, 2015, written by Redacted, directed by Paul McGinnigan. No, written by Max Landis.
What a dick.
Hey, I know both of us have gone on record to say we like Max Landis scripts.
Yeah.
We don't like the guy.
He's written stuff that I have enjoyed. Oh man, but fuck that dude.
yeah. He's not a nice guy, but he has written some fun movies, and this is definitely one where you see the Max Landis influence on it as well.
Oh, for sure. I think this is one of his weakest ones, though, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, between obviously Chronicle is.
Yeah, Chronicle's really
goat.
good.
Yeah.
I love American Ultra. That one I'd argue is elevated by the stars of it, but I also really like it. So
hey, this is another movie elevated by its stars, and maybe only because of its stars.
Yeah.
That's where we can start with this. Because like I said with Pope's Exorcist, that is a very generic script that is elevated by its stars, especially Russell Crowe. This is one where I don't think the script necessarily is generic. It's just kind of all over the place. I think the characters are more generic than anything, but everything is elevated by Radcliffe and McAvoy in this movie for sure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I agree with that. They're putting in better performances than this movie deserves. And I say that like I know you and I actually both remember liking this quite a bit when it came out. You saw it in theaters. I didn't see it until it came out on DVD, but I rented it pretty shortly after it came out on DVD. And I remember really enjoying it. I remember thinking it was a lot of fun. And but I never went back to it until we rewatched it for this.
And, same here. I watched this in the theaters. I remember enjoying it. I had fun with it. It didn't blow my socks off but I didn't love it enough to go back, because this is the second time I watched it 8 years later. This movie is fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It just kind of exists, and that kind of sucks, because I think there's a lot of good things in this movie. Again, our two leads are great. I think the overall style is a ton of fun. It's kind of this steampunk world that we're in.
Yeah, when I didn't text you that it was, I'm like, halfway through watching it, I'm like, dude, this is just steampunk Reanimator, but without any of the charm or wit.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, could you imagine Stuart Gordon taking on this movie?
Oh, dude. In Stuart Gordon's hands, this would have sung. It would have been so much better than the workman-like product that we got.
Yeah, it does. It feels very generic. The performances besides our two leads, I'm just not vibing with at all.
Yeah,
there's
very cartoonish and just whatever.
There's too many plots in this movie where the movie doesn't need more than the Frankenstein plot.
Yeah.
And it tries to it gives Igor the love interest. It kind of creates, the university that Victor Frankenstein is at.
The rich donor.
The rich donor. You have the
religious
police.
Cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of it works.
No. It all feels like it's in completely different movies.
Yeah.
Like, the religious cop angle is cool. It's not done well in this. And it doesn't add to the overall movie. And same thing with like you're just taking money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was almost like they were trying to comment on like how like wealth will overtake science, but they don't ever actually do it well, aside from like, ha ha, I am evil and I'm funding your experiment. And it's like, okay, like.
Yeah. And again, full spoilers for Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah.
We should put that out there. But again, I think he's like another student at the university.
Yeah.
That's funding this project. And I don't know if I wrote his name down. Anyway, bad guy, university guy. He's basically gonna say like, my family is more important than the Frankenstein family. I'm gonna take this idea once he's done with it and has perfected it, kill Victor, and take it as my own.
Yeah.
And we never see anything past that one monologue of him saying it. because he
Yeah.
just dies
Yeah,
in
like
the climax.
there's no reason for that to be in there
No.
because it's never of any consequence. So this movie pads out its runtime with stuff like that and ends up feeling very long for what it
Mm-hmm.
is.
I think
How long is it?
it's an hour 50.
Yeah, it
And
does not need to be
you
that
can
long.
cut 20 minutes out of this movie pretty easily.
You could trim 20 minutes out just like that. And it just, it doesn't know. It doesn't know what it wants to be, so it
Mm-hmm.
never fleshes out any of the interesting ideas it
Yeah.
has. There are like 3 different scripts within this one
Mm-hmm.
that all could be great if that was what the attention was given
Yeah.
to. But since it's split like 3 ways, it just doesn't work.
And I
Um,
remember saying this when I first watched it, and I feel it even more now, is that this would make a great comic book series
yeah. Well,
where you
that's
can spend more time fleshing out all these aspects of this world that it's creating, of Igor in the circus, him teaming up with Frankenstein, the university versus Victor, the love interest for Igor, and then you have the religious cop. You have all this stuff, and it's too much to fit into an hour and 50-minute long movie.
yeah. And you know, I think the big thing is like it took this like one of the biggest pieces of modern literature that like paved the way for both science fiction and horror, and it turned it into like a very generic comic book movie. Like
Hmm.
that's kind of what it was. It was just by the end of the movie there are explosions all over the place. It looks like a Michael Bay movie, and you're just like, why?
Hmm.
There's nothing here that's thematically resonant at all.
Hmm.
Like you just decided you wanted a big action set piece in the final 20 minutes.
It wants to have a big action set piece in the first 20 minutes. That's
Mm-hmm.
where I really noticed it this time is we start with Igor in the circus, and he's the
Yeah.
hunchback, and everybody's making fun of him because he's actually smart. And I like this version of Igor. I think he's a fun character for the first half of this movie,
Yeah.
and then he just stops being the main character, and it
Yes.
turns to Frankenstein halfway through the movie, and Igor's just now there and becomes the cliched henchman,
Yeah.
which kind of sucks for this movie
Which
subverting it in the beginning.
and he's not even the cliched henchman. He's just a generic guy trying to
Scientist.
stop
Yeah.
the person. Yeah, like it's weird. It's weird.
Well, the opening like action scene is when Victor is breaking Igor out, and he
Mm-hmm.
does like a parkour jump off something Superman punch to one of the circus performers, and I'm like, do we need Victor Frankenstein as a Marvel hero?
And it's not even like, okay, so it's clearly kind of like oh well, Guy Ritchie did this with Sherlock Holmes, but it's like, okay, but if you read like the stories, like Sherlock Holmes was a trained martial artist. Like that's been written into his character. There is nothing in thousands of different Frankenstein iterations that would suggest like what is he taking Krav Maga right next to his like anatomy, you know?
Or even in this movie, it's just that one scene.
Yeah. It's so like it's so random and
Yeah.
it's just like why is that in there? And yeah, you're right. He's doing these like parkour things and he's acting like he's this like super slick criminal and everything. And then in the next scene he's a bumbling college student who can't even get straight A's even though he's like smarter than ever. You know what I mean? Like it's just what?
The characterizations for both Frankenstein and Igor are kind of all over the place too, like the rest of the
Yeah.
movie. Where Frankenstein, he's this criminal. Obviously, he's stealing. In the beginning, he's not. We don't see him
Yeah.
stealing body parts. You see him stealing
He's
animal
like
parts
yeah.
from the circus, and hence why he's there. So you see the criminal stuff, but he's also a drunk. He's also a university student. He's also an heir to the Frankenstein Empire. He's so
And
many
he's
different
an
things. He
asshole.
is,
And
which
that's
I'm
why like
fine with. I'm
oh
fine with.
yeah.
But we're all of a sudden supposed to root for him in the last act,
Yeah.
where they introduce like why he's so obsessed with creating new life,
They give
and
him
it's
a
like,
tragic backstory with his brother,
yeah, and
who
it's a
they name
little
Henry, which
yeah.
is kind of a fun nod to like how they changed the name in the original Universal,
Mhm.
movie.
It's a little too late though.
Yeah, and it lands with a thud. Like there's no impact. It's
Mhm.
just it like they literally exposit it about 10 minutes before it's relevant.
Yeah.
And then he says, "I'm sorry, brother." And it's like, you mean that brother that we haven't heard of until like 10 minutes ago in this movie?
Mhm.
Like what?
And it
And
never
then they
pays off like this movie like it should, because what really works and what it should have focused more on is the friendship between Victor and Igor.
yeah.
And that's where you can have this brother stuff of, maybe that's your kind of twist on Frankenstein, the monster, is that he creates this monster because he wants to have his brother back. Well, along the way he finds a new brother in Igor, and that's your
Yeah.
story. Doesn't do that at all.
It doesn't do that at all. Well, and he's even like, I mean, he's an ass to Igor even like towards the very end.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they have him doing some like Morgan Freeman letter, to like Andy Dufresne. And I'm like,
With a title card
what?
at the end where he's just
Yeah.
sitting next
Oh,
to a creek.
they do the what's your name or signed, and then just cut to a title card twice in this
Yeah.
movie. It's egregious. It's over the top. Stop it.
I l-
It wasn't cool the first time you did it at the beginning of the movie, and it wasn't cool the second time, damn it.
I don't dislike it, but it feels like it's not necessary for the rest of the movie. The editing, again, I kind of put the editing on the same level as I do Radcliffe and McAvoy. Of it's on a different level than the rest of the movie, but it
Yeah,
doesn't need to be because the rest of the movie doesn't deserve it. It
that's the
has these
thing.
cool elements where you have, like you see the inside of a body and like how they can fix someone's bodies. Someone breaks their collarbone and it's stopping
Yeah,
their heart from beating,
and they have
and
the
you get to
visions.
yeah, and I'm like, that's
Yeah,
a cool stylistic choice, but the rest of the movie doesn't really vibe with it, if
yeah.
that makes sense. It
And
doesn't
all
feel
of
like
those ideas are just little things that they
yeah,
never expound upon. Like there's only like two or three scenes where the like X-ray vision happens, or the like, or the title card. It happens at the very beginning and it happens at the very end,
mhm,
and it's just like, but why? You know, if you were going to introduce every character with a title card like that, that'd be one thing. But like, you called your movie Victor Frankenstein, but you didn't make your main character Victor Frankenstein. But you're drawing attention to the name Victor Frankenstein because why?
mhm.
I don't know. This movie didn't make sense to me this time around.
No. And again, I think the couple reasons it's named Victor Frankenstein, everybody's going to recognize that
Yeah,
immediately. There was a movie called Igor. It was the
the
animated
animated
one.
one.
I think it came
I
around
actually
probably
like
around
that
that
one.
same time.
I think it was a little earlier. I think that one came
That
out
could
when I
be.
was like in high school. Yeah,
So again, why this movie isn't named that?
yeah.
I think we should touch on the performances, but before we get to them, I I don't love how they go about Igor as the Hunchback.
Oh, where it's just like the fluid sack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and how early that comes into the movie, where it's
I'm just
just
gonna drain your fluid sack so you can walk upright, Daniel Radcliffe.
yeah,
That's what it feels like.
it
It feels
does.
like they just didn't want to make him limp through an entire movie.
And I would rather, and I think Daniel Radcliffe would be all for it, of him just being the Hunchback the entire movie.
Yeah. Have you listened to the Swiss Army Man director's commentary?
I haven't.
So the day that they shot Daniel Radcliffe's first beach scene, where they literally had like a body double puppet that they were going to put in the water, it was his birthday. And he said, "No, I'm going to do this." And he spent all day on a cold beach, wet, just laying in the sand, motionless. That's what he did on his birthday.
Mhm.
Like that dude is dedicated.
He is, and again in this movie he is too.
Yeah. He's
He's
really good in
fully
this.
invested in playing Igor in this movie. McAvoy is too for this
Hmm.
version of Frankenstein. He's a drunk. He's not likable, and McAvoy plays that perfectly.
Yeah.
Radcliffe is the perfect foil to that. And it just sucks that every other character that's introduced that relates to them is just so bland and boring.
Yeah.
The love interest, I can't even picture what she looks like.
I can't
I don't know
either.
what her name is. I don't know what her character trait is besides.
Lorelai. And I only know
Oh.
that because Daniel Radcliffe yells it an obscene number of times while her neck is like broken.
Mhm. She's just circus lady though. That's her character, and then
She's just trapeze artist who
and then somehow
likes
leaves the circus too after being in the hospital and ends up rich.
They never explain like how all
They
of a
say
sudden she's got like a benefactor.
she has a benefactor at this ball that they attend, but he's. Again, I mean, they're introducing another element with that where she's with this benefactor who's not into women. They also explicitly say that, at least to set up that Igor has a chance with her.
Yeah.
And they never, he just disappears from the movie.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's weird.
It's
the police procedure stuff where they introduce this detective who's, trying to figure out, who's stealing these body parts. There's something weird going on with this Frankenstein guy. We find out that he's uber religious because his wife died, and he thinks that's the end. And he's like kind of our main antagonist in this movie.
Yeah.
But anytime he's on the screen, it just brings the rest of the movie to a screeching halt.
Yeah, and the actor is really good. Like I've seen him in other things. He's a good actor. I don't know what he's doing in this movie though.
I was going to say he's not bad. He's very forgettable.
Yeah.
And anytime he showed up on the screen, I'm like, who are you again?
Well, I mean, wouldn't you find it hard to inject your lines with any life when all of it was just a variation of like, this is a crime against God and I will not have it in my city. Like, that's all he says pretty much the entire time.
That's where you need an actor who can kind of just turn it up to an 11.
You need like a Willem
over
Dafoe.
the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need a big character actor for that.
Yeah.
Where you have your two leads with McAvoy and Radcliffe.
You need a McAvoy or a Radcliffe, honestly.
Yeah.
You need someone on their level because, like, otherwise, that's the thing. Like, the cast is not even. Like, you've got two great lead performances, and you have actors who are like good actors in supporting roles.
No one's bad in this movie.
Yeah, no one's bad. It's just the material is so dry that, like, if they don't bring anything extra to it, there's just nothing.
Perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look through my notes, make sure I'm done talking about this movie.
Yeah. That's about all I have to say. Like, it's fine. Like, if you haven't seen it, check it out. You might like it more than we did. I don't know. This one isn't for me. And I like Frankenstein a lot. So
I do too. And I remember when watching it for the first time, I was like, all right, let's get to the monster. I was feeling it here too. I like, again, them introducing more different elements to the monster, where he has two sets of everything on the inside. He has two hearts, two sets of lungs. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really do much with it, and it's just kind of this one cool idea that's thrown in there and then not really used.
There's like the final thing where it's like, remember, two hearts.
And it does
it's
not.
Like you
so
want like
anticlimactic.
You want a Celine Dion track to come in and like an Instagram filter to go over, and like Igor and Frankenstein just look at each other. Two hearts. I don't know. Do something interesting with it. But no, he just stabs him in the second heart and then the movie's over.
And then the movie's over and leads a sequel bait at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I may need you at some point. It's like, no, you don't. What are we going to do? Bride of Victor Frankenstein?
Yeah. Like, it's like, does Max Landis not realize that he just wrote, like, all he did was write Bride of Frankenstein. All he did was write Bride of Frankenstein mixed with Reanimator with a steampunk aesthetic.
Mhm.
Because think about it. Frankenstein isn't Frankenstein. He's Pretorius. Igor is Frankenstein, who knows that this isn't good,
Mhm.
but he's just being dragged along by this other guy. And, you know, you've got like, I've got you figured out, Landis. I'm not
Again,
sure. John Landis, I don't know if he ever reproduced. I think Max Landis might be like an AI algorithm that they just put the scripts for Reanimator and Bride of Frankenstein in together. And they're like, and it just spit this out. And they were like, this is good enough.
good enough. Yeah, this, again, I think, and kind of my same feeling I have for many Max Landis scripts, because he is a comic book guy. This would work better as a comic book.
Yeah.
I kind of felt that with American Ultra. I don't love that movie. I think, again, it's a movie elevated by two great leads. At least has a fun villain performance, which this movie desperately needed. We could have used Topher Grace in this movie.
Has a couple fun villains in that.
I don't think anyone has ever said that before. We need Topher Grace in this movie. Victor Frankenstein needed Topher Grace.
Okay, Topher Grace as the like religious cop.
Yes,
I feel like he would have actually nailed it. He's so good in the Black Klansman, dude. Like David Duke is so freaking like, oh, I love how he takes the piss out of that guy.
All right, last little bit I have here. This has 26% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics. Yeah, seems about right. 37% audience. $65 million budget. It grossed $34 million. Hence why we have not gotten Victor Frankenstein 2.
Thank God.
Yeah, we didn't need it. Sam, what would you give Victor Frankenstein?
I gave it 2 out of 5. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I didn't vibe with it.
I gave it 2.5. I was at about a 3. Dropped it down a little. Didn't hate it. Didn't love it. Still have more. I have actually more problems this time, but I think there's a lot of good. I think it's worth a one-time watch.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's all I would say.
Yeah, one-time watch.
It's worth it for the performances alone.
Yeah.
Like, the 2 lead performances are really good. The aesthetic is fun. Like, it wears out its welcome kind of quick and then never really regains any goodwill.
It never gets past the good ideas that it sets up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's Victor Frankenstein, ladies and gentlemen.
Now we're moving on to a different sidekick.
Maybe a more influential sidekick. One of Sam's favorite sidekicks.
Oh my God, yeah.
We're talking 2023's Renfield. Spoiler warning ahead. I think we'll just put that out there right now. Yeah. So if you haven't seen Renfield, thanks for listening. We will see you in a couple months when you finally watch the movie, because I think both of us recommend it. Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Highly okay, maybe not highly recommend. I recommend Renfield. Go see it in the theater if it's still in theaters around you. Support horror comedy. God knows that if this one flops as it is, Hollywood's going to take all the wrong lessons from it, and we're not going to get more stuff like this. And it's cool. It's a super gory horror comedy with practical effects. And 2 great really fun performances. Yes.
And a fun side
oh God.
Performance.
Yeah. 3 extremely good performances. So check it out. Check it out in theaters if you can. And otherwise get out of here.
You've been warned. Renfield. The plot of Renfield, it is taking place almost 100 years since the initial meeting. Renfield, played by Nicholas Hoult, longs for a new life away from his master, Count Dracula, played by Nicolas freaking Cage.
Yeah.
Renfield begins attending group meetings and in happenstance meets Officer Quincy, played by Awkwafina, and the two find a common enemy in the Lobo crime family. We'll talk about the Lobo crime family later. Released April 14, 2023, Renfield is written by Ryan Ridley, based on a story by Robert Kirkman, directed by Chris McKay.
The director of the Lego Batman movie. Top 5 Batman movie for me, and not for Casey.
I like Lego Batman movie. Don't love it.
Yeah, I get that. I get
Yeah.
that. I
Renfield, a movie I
Renfield.
like and I don't love.
Yeah. I'm same. So like general thoughts.
The thing is,
Casey,
I
I
can't say a lot bad about it though either for a movie I'm saying
yeah.
I like, don't love. Unlike Victor Frankenstein,
Hmm.
where I think there's too much going on and could have been cut down. Renfield is the opposite. I needed a little more. This is the one where I could have
Yes
used
and no.
a little like 10 more minutes of stuff back into this movie. I feel like there's a lot cut out.
Yeah.
I think the studio messed with it. And
Yeah.
from listening, I listened as we're recording to an interview that Chris McKay did with the Colors of the Dark podcast. And he
Hmm.
talked a little bit about that, where he had a lot of studio pushback on certain things.
Yeah.
And
He
you
said
can,
they didn't even want to do the like 31 flash, like the 1931 stylistic flashbacks,
of their
or
own
the opening
goddamn movie.
fight scene, or the opening fight
Yeah.
scene. Like they didn't even want to show like them getting to New Orleans where this movie takes place. I'm like, why? That's your
Hmm.
inciting incident. That informs everything going forward. Plus, it's a freaking banger set piece
It
with a
is.
wonderful cameo from William Ragsdale, Charlie from the original Fright Night.
This movie, yeah, is one
Yeah,
where I felt this movie is moving at an insane pace.
it
We're
is.
just
Yeah.
going, which I love in movies. But if we're going to go that fast, you need to introduce certain things. And I feel like this movie is missing certain scenes throughout. And you can kind of feel that in the edit that,
Yeah.
hey, something else was supposed to be here and it was cut just to keep this movie moving.
And the thing is, though, like, there's a whole. Oh, how do I say this? Nothing with Aquafina's character outside of her relationship with Renfield
It's necessary.
is necessary to this plot
And it
at
takes up
all.
a lot of the plot.
It's so much. Like, we are meant to, like, there's a point where a character tells her she's hit rock bottom, but it does not feel like she has hit rock bottom at all. There's no repercussions for what she's doing. She starts a traffic cop, she messes up an arrest, and she's still a traffic cop. So that's not rock bottom. Rock bottom would be her losing her. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's just a weird thing where, like, they want Aquafina to have this deep personal backstory. And I get where it, like, thematically would tie in and all this kind of stuff, but, like, it doesn't work. None of it works because it all feels very half-assed. It feels like the one part of the script where they're just like, whatever. Like, we'll write it like this because that's what it needs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just comes across as a super generic, like, CSI Miami plot line. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
that's not a knock on Aquafina. I think she's great, and like she was great in Shang-Chi. God, Ocean's 8. Like, I love Aquafina. She does great work. But like this is just not a good showcase of her talent or what she does. I mean, she's not even really allowed to be funny in it. She's playing the straight person, but she doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really get anything to do.
And also, yeah, she is playing the straight person, but also because it's Aquafina and her line delivery is always like a witty line delivery, it
Yeah.
comes off as comedic and it
Yeah.
makes the emotional beats work even less.
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest problem with the movie, and I think the rest is pretty much all positives besides
Hmm.
this character.
Yeah.
The backstory she's given is super unnecessary. The relationship with her sister can be cut from this entire movie, and I feel nothing is missing. You have this kind of like sisters on two different paths, and at the end they have to come together and be a family again, and it just doesn't work. It falls
No.
completely flat. Whereas, like you said, her relationship with Renfield really works, and I think that's where they should have focused more on. Is she's a cop? You don't have to make her a traffic
No.
stop cop. You know, she can just be someone on the police force trying to prove herself.
Yep.
against the world.
Yep.
And she stumbles upon the Renfield Dracula
And it
world, and that should have been our introduction to the world, much like hers. Instead, it's just
and
real
wouldn't it
feels
make
really
her
weird
more
and
of a
off.
pure heart? Like she's supposed to be like the golden-hearted cop, right?
Yeah, the
Wouldn't
one
it
that's
make her
not on the
more
payroll of the bad guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't it make like I'm so tired of people being the golden-hearted cop because like, oh, someone so and so killed my dad. Like, come on. Like, can't someone just be a golden-hearted cop because they're a golden-hearted cop?
Yeah.
Like, can't someone just be a good person that's like, no, I'm not going to pay like I'm not going to take this shady crime boss's money because I have an actual moral obligation to not do that. Like, can't one time the movie just let it be that instead of I'll never take money from them. They killed my dad, sister, whoever.
Mhm.
Like come on.
If it was someone else, though,
Yeah.
I might take their money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part, that stuff just doesn't work. But that being said, this movie has some
it,
wild, crazy performances,
it
some
also
wild
kind
and
of
crazy,
rules.
crazy special effects, practical effects. I was fascinated at the opening of this movie, where you have the big opening action scene and you have Dracula lit on fire, and it's very
Mhm.
clearly stunt performer is lit on fire,
Oh yeah.
and you have the what I thought might have been the plot of the Pope's Exorcist. There's a priest blowing up in this opening.
Yeah.
Incredible. Again, all practical. Looks amazing.
Okay.
Perfect.
Can I tell you, there was a lady that was sitting like so our theater wasn't super packed, right? Like it was a pretty decent crowd, but it wasn't like there were a lot of open spaces.
Yeah.
And I had a lady buy the ticket, like literally there was just one chair between us. I'm like, you have a whole auditorium. But she sat right next to me. She's a loud chewer, and that drives me nuts. But the opening shot of the movie happens, and it's just Renfield's name tag, right? That's it. It's just a name tag with the name Renfield on it. She goes, ha ha ha. Ha. Like, okay, sure. Like, and then just randomly, like that, she just kept doing that. And like random things, not jokes. None of the things that like everybody else in the theater was laughing at. She was silent. But like a random, like, someone would, it would cut to the next scene. She'd just be like, ha 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 ha. It was freaking me out. It was wigging me out, right? But we got about halfway through, and you know the scene. There's a big action set piece in the courtyard
Mm-hmm.
of an apartment complex that had the whole theater howling, myself included. Like I was doubled over at a certain point. This lady is dead silent. This scene gets over, and without saying a fucking thing, like just gets up, gathers her stuff calmly, and just walks out of the theater. Weirdest, like I was like what is going on with this? Like it wasn't even like, oh, I'm mad at this like it was a am I sitting next to did I sit next to a psycho at this movie? Like who is this person? It was abnormal human behavior.
Yeah. What was she expecting?
I don't know.
Obviously, she knew it was a comedy. She was laughing at everything before that.
Yeah. It was weird, man. It was
That's weird.
weird.
That's hilarious.
Oh god, yeah. So that was my Renfield theater experience. Um yeah, so sorry. That was a tangent.
You're good.
Where were we? We were at the exploding priest, right?
We're at the
Exploding
Exploding
priest.
Priest, and
Yeah.
then a fully practical effect Nicolas Cage in modern day. I loved it
Yep.
so much. That's what I was not expecting. I didn't see any trailers with that in it.
Yeah, with all the like burn makeup and like the disgust. Oh god,
And he's like
he looks
hunched
so
over.
gnarly.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
I
his whole
loved it.
face, like it's so disfigured that it's like over the top and cartoonish, but in like a way that still like has that visceral, gross feeling.
Hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, and you can at first I was like, "Is this just all CGI?" And then you see in the eyes, I'm like, "No, that's Cage under some makeup right there."
Yep.
And you can tell like he's just having a ball playing Dracula, especially this kind of Dracula where he can be like he can be the classic version, which we kind of see at the end, but he's also like this deformed, gross
Yep.
monster at the beginning of the movie. And Nick Cage is having so much fun in this movie. He's, pun intended, sinking his teeth into every scene that he's in. He is having a blast. Same with Nicholas Hoult. I think Hoult is so good in this movie, especially like the scene that I bought into was the 31 flashback, and we get to see him do
the Dwight Fry stuff.
The Dwight Fry laugh, especially. And like, he gets it. He understands what he's doing.
He nailed my favorite shot of the 31 Dracula, which is when they open up the ship and you just see him down below with his big eyes staring up at you with the like, oh. And then there's another scene. I think it's in the restaurant. I think it's when he grabs the bug and he's going for something. He's going for a weapon. And as he does it, he does another chuckle. And it's the same chuckle that Dwight Fry has as he's like crawling across the floor on the mansion in the 31 Dracula. And it's pitch perfect. You don't see his mouth move. So I wondered at first, I was like, is it ADR? And I'm like, no, because it was different enough to where I'm like, Hoult did that. Like, that's so cool. It's so cool. He nails it.
He does. Both of them knock it out of the park. They are incredible in this movie.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, Renfield might be top 5 character for me in a Universal monster movie. And that includes monsters. Mm-hmm. I love Renfield. I love Dwight Fry's performance as Renfield.
He's the best part of the 31 movie.
Oh, hands down. And I think he's got the best moments of so not that I was apprehensive going into this, because both Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult are phenomenal actors. I love Nicholas Hoult. I knew he would do a sniveling servant well. I knew that aspect of Renfield he would have down. I didn't realize how close he was going to be to classic Renfield. Mm-hmm. And that made me so happy, because Dwight Fry was very clearly informing his performance, but he still managed to make it his own and bring him into a modern context. And I just thought it was so cool to see that.
One thing that really worked for this movie, and I'm glad they, even in this edit, kept, I would assume a lot, if not most of it, is the group therapy stuff. I think that's definitely where the marketing focused on too. Mm-hmm. And this movie really focuses on that. We're in that setting quite a bit of this movie. And it is great of he's in this Renfield's in this toxic relationship. And some of the funniest stuff is in the trailer, but it's still super funny in the movie, obviously, of, taking Dracula's power away.
Yeah, the guy who rise to full power.
That is so weird. Why would you say it like that? That is such a great line delivery. And that, I should look up the actor's name. He is so funny in this movie.
I can't remember the actor's name, but he plays a character named Isaac Higgintute, who is a Civil War captain who died in Ghosts. He is one of the ghosts in the CBS show Ghosts.
Oh.
Funny as hell on that show. He's incredible.
He's so funny in this movie too.
Yeah. Oh God. He's tremendous. What's his name?
There's also a very funny side performer in this movie, Carol, who's keeps getting cut off by Renfield.
Yes. Oh God, she's really funny.
She's really funny. She's in both, but she's the lead in the first Terrifier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. The actor's name is Brandon Scott Jones. And I'm not kidding, dude. I know Paramount Plus, watch Ghosts. It's really funny. You dig it.
All right. I'll add it to the list of Paramount Plus stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, all those scenes totally work, and I'm glad that they focused on those. Whereas I think there is other stuff that's cut out. I'm glad they didn't cut a lot of that stuff, because they very easily could have if they were trying to trim this down to that 90 minutes, but I'm glad they kept all that in there.
Oh, me too. One thing that disappointed me coming out of the theater, My girl Caroline Williams only had like 2 lines in this whole movie.
Yeah.
I was
I
like, you can't cast like one of the most iconic scream queens in a role where she says 2 lines and walks out. Like, come on, I wanted to see her vamp out or do something. Like, at least give her a third act moment. What the hell?
Yeah, that. So she plays a lawyer for, in my opinion, the best part of this movie. We'll get to him. We're saving him.
We're saving him.
But yeah, Caroline gets one. She's in one scene of this movie and gets,
Yeah.
I think it's 1 line.
Actually, it might only be 1 line. Yeah.
And it's a blink and you miss it. Like, oh my God, there's Caroline. And then she's gone from the rest of the movie. And she's even said like a lot of her stuff was cut out of this movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, she worked a lot with the character we're going to be talking about. Most of her scenes, from what I've seen her say online and stuff, have been with Ben Schwartz and stuff. But unfortunately, just 1 line that sucks. But Chris McKay talked about like the reason she was cast in this movie is because it's Caroline Williams from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and Leprechaun 3, and obviously horror icon at this point. And he said he's like, if I could cast every side character as someone horror fans are going to recognize, I would have. Yeah. And I firmly believe that Carol, the character in the group, is cast because she's from from Terrifier.
Keep it in the family for sure. Yeah. And I know that like probably more studio notes than anything are what made her role fall to the cutting room floor mostly, but it still just kind of bummed me out. Like, she was honestly one of the big reasons that I was very excited for this. I was excited for her to have a chance in a Universal, like this is a big studio movie, obviously
it's a Universal monster movie.
Not a lot of people are going out and seeing it, but it's still like, that's something, I don't know. It just bummed me out a little bit. That said, I don't know. She killed her 1 line.
She did. Hey, when the Blu-ray comes out and they'll have all the deleted scenes, we can talk more.
Yeah. So there's another. Do you ever listen to the Real Blend podcast?
I don't.
Okay. So they had Chris McKay and Ben Schwartz on to talk Renfield together, which was cool. That was a fun conversation. But Ben Schwartz was talking about how like the restaurant scene where he confronts Awkwafina's character, so much of that got cut. He said they had like a oneer where he was just circling her, and he's like, I was going like really dark, like full on, like kind of like Joker mode type of stuff. And I'm like, you cut that? Where is it? Give us an extended cut. I want all of that. That better at least be in the deleted scenes.
Let's get to him. Let's get to Ben Schwartz. Let's get to mobster Jean-Ralphio.
God.
Teddy Lobo. What a great mobster schmuck name. Yeah. I love it. It's perfect.
From the first minute of his screen time, you're like, he steals the movie. That's probably going to be my biggest hot take of this year, is the best performance in Renfield is Ben Schwartz.
It's Ben Schwartz.
It is. It's like, he's so good in this.
And that's where I say this movie had stuff cut out of it that I wanted put back in. There has to be stuff with him and Cage together that was cut. There's certain scenes where he ends up in the lair of Dracula's lair because he follows Renfield. And it has this weird cut where Dracula takes out all of the henchmen of his, and he's the one left. And it has a weird cut from, it seems like different days, but he's like still on the floor from the first time he got knocked down by Dracula, and then
it's a
getting
little
off
weird.
It's a little weird. And I also think, again, spoilers for the movie, but he becomes the new Renfield. He's Dracula's assistant. He has to eat bugs and gets the superpowers. And there's scenes cut of those two working together.
Oh yeah, easily.
Because it just cuts to now he has powers.
Well, you never actually so they kidnap Awkwafina's sister, which I suppose is her motivation for being a part of the third act. But that doesn't really work either. It's why? What? I don't know. They're not. I'm not gonna get into that again. But you know that there's a scene of them like attempting their first kidnapping together, right?
Yeah.
Like there's gotta be. It's uh Ben Schwartz also has the best, to me, the best visual gag in the movie, which is when he reveals that he has become a familiar to Dracula. He's standing on top of like his golden staircase in the mansion. And he goes, I don't know, he says something along the lines of, "Doesn't that sound?" And like a fucking huge millipede crawls out of his sleeve onto his hand, and he raises his knuckle up to his nose, snorts it like cocaine, and goes, "Familiar," as his eyes glow orange, and you're just like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, what is this? This
Awesome.
is the best thing ever!" Like, oh, hands down, that might be that. I would be surprised if any movie moment of this year tops that for me. Like, I legitimately yelled, "Oh my god!" in the theater because I was just like, "What?"
I love the Lobo family like headquarters. It's like
Yeah,
it's an all gold building just in the middle of the city.
it's so funny.
It's so funny and
The
so
crime
random.
family is the most interesting part of this
Yes.
stupid movie, and that shouldn't be the case. I'm glad
When
it is, though.
yeah, and I was not expecting like a crime family to be like the backbone of the plot of Renfield
Yeah,
at all.
no, me either. And can I tell you something else? I had no idea Ben Schwartz was in this movie
Oh, really?
until he showed up on screen. I literally I looked over at my sister and I went, "What the fuck? Ben Schwartz is in this movie?" And she goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "What? When did this happen?"
Yeah, I knew he was in the movie. I saw what his character looked like with all the tattoos and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, John Ralphio's in this. I'm
Just a
so happy.
weird piece of information that somehow slipped past me. And I like follow him on Twitter and everything, so I have no idea how I missed it.
Much like Parks and Rec, where he steals every scene he's
Yeah.
in, he does the same here. I think there has to be more stuff of him with in Cage
Yeah.
together, and I want more of him in Cage together.
Mhm.
Those two like
Also,
feel like actors cut from the same cloth.
he has such a good villain death. Renfield kicking him right in the gut so hard that he like shits and
Yeah,
vomits blood. Like, and he just, that's
so
it.
funny.
That just takes him out. And you've got the like, hey, another movie that utilizes X-ray vision.
Yeah,
Because you see like the X-ray of like his bowels evacuating and everything going up out of his mouth. It's it's like, it's gnarly, it's gross, it's a really good gore gag.
the action scenes in this movie are so much fun.
They're
The one
awesome.
the one thing I didn't like in the action scenes though was Aquafina in them, where she's kind of
Oh,
doing
really?
the same moves as Renfield, especially in the
Yeah,
courtyard one. Not so much in the restaurant,
yeah.
but in the
But I
courtyard
get
one,
that.
she's like jumping, kind of like I said with McAvoy, where she's like doing parkour and punching people in the face and then
And
shooting
it's
them.
like
And
she's a cop, so you know she has a little bit of training, but it still feels a little weird for her to not have the superhuman strength and
yeah,
still be like keeping up with him as well as she does.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah, it took me out just a little. Like I didn't
Yeah.
hate it, but I don't know, it felt a little off. But the action scene's super fun, over
I
the top.
love
I love them. I love Renfield like using like arms he rips off as
yeah.
like nunchucks. Incredible.
Best use like, and this movie does use slow-mo, and usually I think especially in like action movies, like, god damn it, quit using slow-mo. This doesn't work. In this movie it works because you get like slow frame by frame, like you see in slow motion a lot of these practical effects that they worked very hard on creating. And
Hmm.
these things are shown in broad daylight. Like the courtyard scene, broad daylight. You watch in slow motion as Renfield rips the arms off this dude. And then, he starts like smacking people with
Yeah,
them. And he even spears a guy with one at one point. It's so great. It's so
so good.
gnarly. Oh, man. He rips a dude's face off. That was such a fun
Yeah,
effect. Oh, my God. Oh, you know what, dude?
those
Like,
action scenes alone are incredible.
Yeah, I think my 3.5 might be too low. This movie. I don't know what my star rating is going to be at the end of this conversation.
The ending of this movie, there's some parts of it I love, some parts of it I'm like, I don't need it. Most of it's with
Yeah.
Awkwafina and her sister.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work. The stuff I do like is Renfield and Awkwafina just beating the shit out of Dracula.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
so
God.
funny. It
They
is not
fuck
what I
him
was
up.
expecting. Yeah. It's like I'm expecting them to just defeat Dracula, he goes away, happy ending. It's like,
Yep.
no, they're like torturing the guy.
Oh yeah, they mess him up. It's so good. It's so fun. And I kept expecting the salt circle to break. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I was like, oh God, like he's gonna come back. They're taking too long to just beat him up. No, the movie just lets him beat him up, and then that's it. Like he's done. It's pretty dope. It's pretty
It is.
dope. I love how he goes back to the group because there's also a scene where Dracula just slaughters the entire self-help group that Renfield and it's totally a petty dick move. Like he doesn't even eat from them. He's literally just like, no, these people are helping you, like, get away from me. Fuck them. And he just tears into every single one of them. Leaves Renfield with the bloody crime scene, so he's the one that takes the fall for it. Like my favorite part about this is like Cage's Dracula is so petty in this movie, but it comes from like a very human place where he needs Renfield. Like he doesn't know how to function without him. And so like Cage manages to find that like humanity in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a good performance in that sense because like Dracula's the villain here, but you feel bad for him at times. Like the movie kind of gaslights you a little bit with Renfield where you're like, maybe he's not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I dig that. And so at the end of the movie when they do the like Deus Ex Machina where Dracula's blood can heal even the dead somehow now. Like it used to be able to heal wounds, and now it can resurrect people who have been like literally dismembered.
Yeah. I liked it.
And so I did too. I loved it because the self-help group, they're all back, and they're like, instead of coffee, they've just got a picture of Dracula blood. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
It is. The last thing I had is like the style and the lighting, super fun.
Yes,
I would love
very Italian giallo lighting type of stuff.
What it reminded me of, and I think this might pair well with this movie, is Rob Zombie's Monsters.
Yes, agreed.
Where again, both are so light and vibrant background type of movies. You can just pop them on whenever, and that includes the lighting, how every scene is lit. Whereas I could watch both of these movies in black and white and still feel the same.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's a testament to the fun, vibrant, great lighting that both of those movies have.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love for them to do a full black and white of this one.
Yeah.
Although the Macy's sweater wouldn't hit quite as hard in black and white.
Yeah. It'd still be funny though.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Another movie that would pair well with this, and one that I was going to see if it was streaming and it wasn't. So I was like, whatever, we'll just do Victor Frankenstein. But the remake of Fright Night, kind of similar in tone to this one too. I feel like, although that one uses a lot of CG effects, which is like my one knock on that one. It's a really good movie, except for the fact that there's no like real. Well, there are, but they're few and far between. Like most of it's a CGI fest, which is a bummer. But yeah, Renfield. Through talking about it, I think I might have actually liked this movie a little more than I initially thought.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna stop doing.
What are you gonna give it?
Stop doing star ratings on Letterboxd because I always change them anyways. I'm gonna give Renfield a solid 4 stars. I'm knocking off 1 star for the Awkwafina plotline, but small potatoes. We got to watch Ben Schwartz snort a millipede up his nose. Like,
I'm sticking to the 3.5. I think it's not perfect. It's a ton of fun. Definitely recommend. There's more good than bad. The Aquafina stuff just doesn't work, and I feel like there's a lot cut out that I would have had a lot of fun with.
Yeah. No, you're right. They cut Caroline Williams. 3.5.
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah. This has a 57% critic rating, 79% audience rating.
That sounds about
Rotten
right.
Tomatoes, yeah.
Yeah.
$65 million budget so far. As of this recording, $18.5 million. Not doing great, but
go see this while you
horror
can.
comedies
people
tend to not do great at the box office.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it'll find its legs once it hits streaming. They always do.
They do.
So, but yeah, Renfield, check it out, peeps.
Renfield, check it out. Victor Frankenstein, if you want.
If you want.
If you want.
No big rush.
Yeah. All right, Sam. Well, let's wrap this thing up. Epic episode, almost as long as both of these movies combined. But
all right,
that's how it goes. Sam, where can they listen to this show if they haven't already listened to it all the way through?
If you haven't listened to it all the way through, you can subscribe to Screams from the Basement on Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, and Anchor. And if you like the visual element, we're also on YouTube. Where I usually have better lighting, but I didn't turn my light on because it was daylight when I started this.
I was going to say, that's how long we've been recording. It went from daylight to night. Then if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Screams from the Basement. Just search for us there. And then we're also on TikTok too.
Yeah.
We're there. I don't know.
We're there.
We're there.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there.
I don't know. I don't understand it.
I don't either. It's tough.
Yeah.
Millennials. No, we're millennials.
Yeah.
Whoever's below us, teach us TikTok.
Us. Yeah.
Peasants. Teach us TikTok.
All right.
We've been recording too long. I'm getting loopy.
We need to wrap this thing up. Again, next time we're going to be talking Evil Dead Rise and Evil Dead 2013. So that's your homework. Everybody out there listening, Scream Demons, go check both.
And we've got a fun guest that we're not going to reveal yet, but we do have a fun guest. I'm very excited.
First official guest episode. Very excited for that.
Yeah, it's going to be dope.
It is going to be dope. Well, thank you all for listening. Thanks to you all for tuning in. And Sam, give them our sign off.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And sweet screams.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.